Von made it through 2 surgeries. He
Mm.
had 3 surgeries ago. He made it through 2 surgeries. And then after the second surgery, he hopped off the bed and started fighting the nurse and said where his gun at. And he went and he died because he went into shock. So he was making
Wow.
2 surgeries. How hours later, Kayla know, talking about some, he fought the nurse. She the one told me that. His mama didn't even know that. How you knowing what's going on inside the hospital that
Because
quick?
she was there at the hospital.
Just when the world thought the King Von case was done and dusted, boom! Brand new evidence just detonated like a lyrical landmine. This isn't a small update. This is the kind of revelation that makes Netflix call and say, yeah, we need a 10-part docuseries, immediately. The streets are buzzing. Social media's on fire. And even the detectives who closed the case are quietly sweating under fluorescent lights. Because apparently the story we were all told, the fight, the shots, the so-called random chaos, turns out it might have been scripted tighter than a reality TV reunion. New footage, leaked files, and voice messages are painting a picture that's so wild it makes the Tupac hologram theory sound believable. People who used to scream, "Justice for Von," are now side-eyeing the same folks they once defended. And the craziest part? The names being whispered now weren't even supposed to be part of the story. This isn't just a murder mystery anymore. This is a full-blown hip-hop conspiracy unraveling right in front of us. So grab your popcorn, lock your phone, and brace yourself, because this new evidence just changed everything. The night King Von was killed was supposed to be a celebration, not the beginning of one of hip-hop's darkest mysteries. Von had just dropped new music. The streets were finally showing him the love he'd fought for, and his crew was out in Atlanta ready to pop bottles. But instead of celebration, chaos erupted. And for years, fans believed they knew the story. Quando Rondo, Lul Tim, a fight, gunshots, end of story. Except now, that official version is starting to look like the biggest cover-up since Suge Knight's last alibi. Because this new evidence didn't come from TMZ, it didn't come from academics on YouTube. It came from what insiders claim is the vault itself. Leaked footage and unreleased police audio that completely dismantles what we thought happened that night outside Monaco Hookah Lounge. Here's where things start getting wild. The leaked surveillance doesn't just show Von swinging first. It shows an unidentified third man standing just feet away, wearing a hoodie no one ever mentioned in the reports. He wasn't part of Von's team, and he definitely wasn't with Quando. But seconds before shots were fired, he reached toward his waist and then disappeared from view. Not fled, not ducked, disappeared, like someone who knew what was about to happen. Now, if you know anything about Von, you know he wasn't scared of confrontation. He lived that life long before the fame. But what's eerie here is how fast everything unfolded. Von barely got 2 punches in before shots were flying. And the new timestamps prove something even crazier. Police were already stationed less than 100 feet away. Almost like they were waiting. Let's rewind. Atlanta PD said they responded within seconds. But the scanner recording that leaked last week tells a different story. You can hear an officer's voice say, "They're both targets. Secure the scene." Targets, not suspects, not victims. That's cop talk for people being watched, meaning law enforcement was monitoring the area before the chaos. And that's where the internet lost its mind. Overnight, social media turned into CSI O-Block edition. Fans started analyzing angles, mapping out car positions, and zooming in on every shadow like this was a Marvel end credit scene. Twitter detectives claimed the mystery hoodie man was an informant. TikTok conspiracy pages said the fight was staged to distract from something bigger, maybe a setup gone wrong. And honestly, the dots start connecting a little too neatly. How did the same city camera that captured the initial fight suddenly malfunction seconds later? Why did body cam footage from officers on scene get sealed for ongoing investigation years after the case closed? And who leaked the clip now, right when Von's name was finally starting to be at peace? This isn't random timing, it's strategic chaos. Someone wants this story back in the headlines. Meanwhile, fans close to Von's camp are breaking silence for the first time. One of Von's old producers went live, saying he'd been warning people for months that someone higher up didn't want the full story out. He said Von had been paranoid before his death, talking about being followed, about phone taps, about people trying to line him up. Most dismissed it as trauma from the streets. But in hindsight, it sounds like a man who knew the trap was already set. And then there's the phone logs. Allegedly, one of Von's associates texted him 15 minutes before the shooting, saying, "We shouldn't go there tonight." That text never made it into official reports. Neither did the phone call between Kwando's team and someone linked to an Atlanta promoter known for making peace between rival groups. Turns out that promoter's phone went dark right after the shots. No trace, no follow-up, no testimony. Vanished like a ghost. This new evidence is messy, but it's painting a terrifying picture. That King Von's death wasn't spontaneous at all. It was orchestrated. Maybe not by Kwando or Lul Tim, but by someone who knew both sides, someone who could move between camps unnoticed. The question is, who benefits from Von being gone? Look at the timing. Von was about to sign a massive solo deal, stepping away from certain OTF commitments. Rumor had it he wanted full control of his masters and was planning a movie deal based on his life. He'd even been in talks with a major streaming platform to drop an Urban Godfather series. The man was transitioning from drill rapper to mogul. That kind of move doesn't sit right with everyone, especially when money and loyalty get tangled. So when that footage leaked, people didn't just see a fight. They saw motive. They saw silence. They saw the same pattern that's haunted hip-hop for decades. Talented voices rising too fast, too loud, and too fearless, and then, conveniently, taken out before they can rewrite the industry's script. Even Von's closest allies are reacting differently now. Lil Durk, usually silent on the topic, dropped a cryptic story after the leak that said, "Some truths can't stay buried." Fans went crazy. Was that about Von? About the label? About loyalty? The ambiguity only fueled the fire. Meanwhile, Kwando Rondo, the man at the center of it all, suddenly deactivated his accounts. No statements, no denials, nothing, just gone. His silence feels louder than any interview could have been, and his camp reportedly told blogs to stop tagging him in that footage, which naturally made the internet double down and tag him even more. It's chaos. Everyone's trying to rewrite the past, while the evidence rewrites itself. You've got blogs claiming the footage was AI edited, detectives calling it manipulated material, and street insiders saying they saw the raw file before it spread online. If that's true, it's game over for the official story. And let's be real, this case was sketchy from the start. The shooter walked free, self-defense was claimed, and somehow no one else got charged despite multiple weapons being fired. For a public shootout caught on camera, that's suspiciously neat. Add in the fact that Von's autopsy report was leaked within 48 hours of something that almost never happens, and suddenly, the whole case starts smelling like week-old studio. Pizza, but what really sent shockwaves through the culture wasn't the footage itself, it was the implications. Because if this new evidence is real, it doesn't just clear or convict anyone, it changes the entire foundation of the narrative. It suggests that Von's death wasn't just about beef or ego, it was about business, betrayal, and surveillance. Fans who once called it street justice are now demanding a federal investigation. Reddit threads are compiling timelines, and podcasts are dissecting every second of audio like they're decoding the Zodiac Killer. Everyone's searching for that one missing piece, the why behind the chaos. And yet, the biggest question remains unanswered. Who leaked this now, and why? Because if there's one thing everyone agrees on, it's that leaks like this don't happen by accident. Someone wanted this truth, or version of it, out. Someone powerful enough to hold it this long, and bold enough to release it now. And as that footage spreads, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. King Von's death might not have been an ending after all. It might have been the beginning of something much, much bigger. A secret the industry buried, but couldn't keep down forever. The streets always talk, but this time, they're screaming. The internet turned into a courtroom the moment that footage hit the timeline. Every influencer, fan page, and fake insider suddenly became a criminal analyst with Wi-Fi. Twitter Spaces sounded like law school lectures, and YouTubers dropped 3-hour breakdown videos before the leak even hit 720p. But underneath all that noise, something real was happening. People started noticing a pattern. The new audio didn't just reveal police nearby, it caught a faint second voice, one that said, "Keep the cameras rolling." Now, that line could mean anything. But fans weren't buying coincidence anymore. They started comparing the angle of the leaked footage to news clips and realized the video didn't come from public street cams. It came from a private recording rig used by the club's own security. And guess what? That same club was shut down just weeks after the shooting for code violations. Too convenient? That's what everyone thought. Suddenly, old photos of Von and Quando at industry parties before the beef started resurfaced. Smiling, joking, dapping each other up. They weren't best friends, but they weren't sworn enemies either. It looked like two rappers who respected the game, until someone decided to turn the game into a trap. Now here's where things take a sinister twist. Insiders claim the club's security footage was quietly purchased by a third party within 24 hours of the shooting. Not by police, not by media, by someone in the music business. The same name keeps coming up in whispers, a label figure who brokered peace deals between artists, but was also known for collecting insurance payouts after rappers under his orbit died young. Fans started digging through contracts. Threads popped up exposing clauses where artists' deaths triggered massive payments to management firms. King Von's catalogue, worth millions, was still tied to entities most of the public never even heard of. And the wildest part, one of those companies was registered the same week Von died. People love to say, the industry's a dark place, but this was starting to look like a crime novel with beats and verses instead of chapters. Von wasn't just a rapper, he was a walking brand, a digital empire. Streams tripled after his death, merch sold out overnight. Documentaries started development within weeks. The business of death in hip-hop had once again proven more profitable than life. Meanwhile, the streets reacted differently. O-Block fans saw the leak as proof that their boy was set up. Quando's camp saw it as justification that Von initiated the attack. But the middle ground, the people with nothing to gain, they saw it for what it was: manipulation. Someone somewhere wanted the chaos reignited. Even old beefs came crawling back from the dead. Rival crews started throwing subliminals again. Diss tracks popped up overnight, and social media was a war zone. Everyone wanted to control the narrative, but nobody could control the emotions. TikTok had kids reenacting the shooting with filters and sound effects. The disrespect was unreal. The same fans who claimed R.I.P. Von were now chasing views by turning his death into content. Then celebrities joined the storm. Boozy went live saying, "They've been setting our boys up. Y'all just now catching on." 50 Cent posted a cryptic tweet with the eye emoji and the words, "They always come back to the money." Meek Mill commented under a blog post, "Ain't nothing random in this game." When rappers known for surviving the system start hinting at foul play, people listen. Even media figures started picking sides. DJ Academics ran 2 live streams dissecting the footage frame by frame. Say Cheese dropped interviews with anonymous sources claiming to have seen backup footage. And everyone was using one word over and over again: cover-up. It didn't help that the leaked police memo matched nothing in the original case file. That memo mentioned surveillance of 2 rival groups for suspected retaliatory violence, suggesting law enforcement had already been monitoring the meetup. Yet no officer stepped in until after Von was down. If they knew tensions were high, why weren't they there sooner? Or were they waiting for the chaos to unfold for documentation? And then came the meme wave, the internet's way of coping with tragedy. Jokes, fake movie posters, Von case files, the Netflix series. Some laughed, others cried, but all of it kept the story trending. Hashtags like Summer Justice for Von Again and Hamanj Hood Conspiracy started pulling millions of views. What was once a closed case had now turned into the biggest unsolved riddle since Tupac's Vegas night. Behind the scenes, journalists started digging too. A few underground blogs published reports linking the club owner to Atlanta's Entertainment Enforcement Task Force, a division accused of planting undercover agents in high-profile nightlife scenes. If that's true, it means Von might have been under surveillance even before that night started. And that random hoodie man in the video could have been an informant or an undercover cop. Imagine that. An entire fatal fight breaking out, cameras everywhere, and still nobody intervening until the chaos was over. That's not negligence, that's orchestration. Meanwhile, Quando Rondo's behavior only made things murkier. He dropped a video days later wearing the same chain Von once gave him as a respect piece, then deleted it within hours. Fans froze the frame and caught what looked like the same hoodie from the leaked footage hanging in the background. Coincidence or subconscious guilt? Nobody knows. But once the internet locks in on an idea, there's no turning back. Von's sister, Kayla, went live in tears saying, "They tried to erase my brother's truth." She claimed people close to Von were paid to stay quiet, and that some of his own circle switched sides after the funeral. That line alone sent the comment sections into meltdown, because if even a fraction of that is real, then this wasn't a street fight. It was a chess move, and chess in hip-hop is brutal. You make one wrong move, and suddenly everyone's playing for your crown. As fans revisited Von's old interviews, they found eerie foreshadowing. In one clip, Von said, "I ain't worried about ops. I'm worried about the ones smiling in my face." People dismissed it then as typical street talk. Now it reads like prophecy. The man literally warned us before it happened. The craziest part. Some of the same individuals present that night have mysteriously vanished from social media. Deleted pages, changed names, no updates, like ghosts from a forgotten war. The deeper people dig, the more it looks like every witness was conveniently silenced or paid off. And as that chaos spread online, one question kept echoing. If Von's death wasn't random, who was pulling the strings? Some say it was street politics, others think it was corporate greed. But the newest theory, that both worlds merged. The streets provided the chaos, the industry profited from the outcome, and law enforcement watched from the sidelines like it was entertainment. What started as Von versus Quando has now turned into the system versus the truth. Everyone's lying, everyone's covering, and yet the one person who could explain everything, Von, is gone. But his legacy won't die quietly. Every unreleased track, every lyric, every IG live moment is being replayed like hidden messages from beyond. Fans believe he left clues in his songs, names, places, codes. Maybe it's superstition, maybe it's pain. But people are connecting dots the way the FBI never did. And then, just when the noise started to calm down, another bombshell dropped. A whistleblower claiming to work in Atlanta law enforcement posted an anonymous message saying the case was never meant to close. The department allegedly has unreleased data logs proving outside interference during the altercation. He ended his message with, "Von knew too much." That one sentence shattered the internet all over again. Von knew too much. Too much about what? About street beefs? Or about the people pulling invisible strings behind them? Whatever the truth is, the narrative just flipped from tragedy to thriller. And it's got everyone, fans, rappers, cops, labels, pretending they don't hear the alarm ringing. Because once the streets smell conspiracy, peace becomes impossible. And this time, the smoke around King Von's case doesn't look like it's ever clearing. The chaos didn't stop with the leak, it multiplied. Within days, King Von's name was everywhere again, but not in the way his family wanted. Blogs were spinning wild theories, fake insiders were selling exclusive footage for clout, and everyone from Atlanta to Chicago had an opinion. The line between truth and entertainment blurred faster than an Instagram filter. What was once justice for Von had turned into an industry-feeding frenzy. And when the internet starts eating, it doesn't stop until there's nothing left. The leak had reopened wounds that were never really healed. Von's old rivals began popping out on lives, mocking, taunting, remixing his story for their followers. One even posted, "They thought they buried Von, but they just woke him up again." The disrespect was loud, but it wasn't just trolling, it was bait. Because deep down, everyone knew what came next. Retaliation energy was in the air. Lil Durk's silence grew heavier by the hour. Fans stalked his posts, waiting for a sign, a lyric, a caption, even an emoji. And when he finally broke that silence with a single quote, "The streets don't forget," it sent the culture into cardiac arrest. Millions reposted it within minutes. Was that a warning? A confession? A promise? Nobody knew, but everyone felt it. Meanwhile, Quando Rondo tried to drop a new single, but instead of praise, the comments section turned into a digital riot. "You're done. Blood on your mic. Von's watching you." Every post, every tweet, flooded with venom. He thought time had softened the world's anger, but this new evidence threw him back into the fire. His team scrambled to control the damage. But how do you silence millions of people who've already made up their minds? And that's when the real bombshell dropped. An anonymous file surfaced on Reddit, titled Von Case Internal Files. Inside were screenshots of supposed police briefings, timestamps, and internal emails showing that officers were warned about a potential altercation hours before it happened. Even worse, one email allegedly read, "High-profile individuals. Surveillance required. No interference unless fatal." Fatal. That single word hit like a gut punch. Fans didn't care if it was real or fake. It felt real. And that's all it takes in the digital age. The public doesn't wait for official statements anymore. They build their own truth, and they build it fast. Build it fast. Theories started branching like wildfire. Some said the cops used Von as bait to track gang ties. Others said industry execs wanted him silenced before he went independent. A few even suggested it was deeper. A warning to every artist trying to break free from the machine. It sounds insane, until you remember how many rappers have died right after making boss moves. Von's cousin went live in Chicago saying, "Y'all think this game about music? It's about control." That clip hit 1 million views in hours. The internet turned it into a rally cry. For the first time, fans weren't just mourning. They were investigating, organizing, connecting dots across states. People were demanding accountability not just from Quando's side, but from labels, from cops, from everyone who touched the case. And then came the chilling twist. A reporter from an underground blog revealed that she received a cease and desist after publishing an article about the footage. Not from the police, from a music label. Think about that. Since when does a label care about ongoing investigations? The silence from official sources only made it louder. The memes got darker, the hashtags got angrier, and the industry started panicking. Suddenly, rappers were deleting posts, managers stopped taking interviews, and even mainstream media backed away from the story. When TMZ stays quiet, you know something's up. Behind the scenes, multiple insiders claimed that Von's unreleased catalogue, worth millions, was quietly being transferred between companies. The timing? Right after the leaks started trending. It's almost poetic. A man dies, the truth surfaces, and somehow his art changes hands. Again. But it wasn't all darkness. In a strange way, this chaos reignited Von's voice. His music shot back up the charts. Fans played his songs not just for nostalgia, but for clues. Every lyric was dissected. Every word felt like prophecy. All these niggas want to be me, but they can't see me. That line hit different now. It wasn't just bars, and it was a warning from beyond. And then, the feds got involved. Atlanta police, under pressure, announced a re-examination of certain files related to the case. They didn't say why, but the timing lined up perfectly with the leaks. Insiders whispered that new subpoenas were going out. New witnesses were being questioned. The same case everyone said was closed was suddenly cracking open like a coffin lid. But here's where it gets sinister. A few of the people supposedly tied to that night have vanished, deleted socials, disconnected numbers, some even rumored to have skipped town. The deeper you go, the more it feels like someone's erasing the truth as fast as it's spreading. Meanwhile, the media shifted tone. The same outlets that once painted Von as an aggressor were now calling him a victim of systemic manipulation. Narratives flipped overnight. And while fans celebrated that redemption, the people who built the old stories started panicking. Because if this case gets officially reopened, it's not just reputations on the line. It's careers, contracts, and possibly handcuffs. Even inside the rap world, whispers turned to fear. Big artists began rechecking their contracts, calling lawyers, watching their own backs. Everyone realized, if Von could be set up like this, anyone could. This wasn't just about O-Block or Atlanta. It was a mirror to the whole machine. By now, you could feel the paranoia in every live stream, every interview, every lyric. Artists started dropping coded bars about watching the snakes in the label and dying to own my masters. Fans heard it. They knew what it meant. The industry had always sold rebellion. But now it looked like rebellion might actually get you killed. And through all that noise, the most chilling moment came from Von's own mother. She posted a single photo. Her son smiling, wearing his signature chain, captioned, "You can't bury the truth." No hashtags, no anger, just quiet pain. That silence screamed louder than every theory combined. Even those who doubted the conspiracy started second-guessing. Because every time the system tries to silence a story, that story grows legs. And Von's story, his rise, his death, his legacy, has become unstoppable. Hip-hop has seen tragedies before, but this one feels different. It's not just about violence, it's about exposure. The mask is slipping off an industry that's been feeding off chaos for decades. Every leak, every post, every whisper pulls another thread,